Welcome to another set of tutorial videos for StatCrunch. This first one is going to help you a little bit with the exploratory data analysis part of Project 2. It will also help you with the rest of the assignment, and the focus of this video is how to subset the data. I want to show you several different subsets, and throughout the other videos, if need be, I will show you the other ones we need. But this is going to show you how to get the El Nino years, the Tornado Alley information, Gulf Coast information, how to bin data so that we could get a collection of different things. So a couple things to note is that, one, I'm using a slightly different data set. I've edited the data from the data set you have, so the results are not going to be the exact same. This video is intended just to show you how to do it on your own, not to reuse these results. So the first thing to do, I want to look at the El Nino years, which are 2002, 3, 6, and 7. I've already loaded the data set. I've called it tornado examples for our use. And I want this column here to be my El Nino years. So this is pretty easy to do. Under Data, Compute Expression, I'm interested in all the years 2002, 3, 6, and 7. So I want year equals 2002, or a year equals 2003, or a year equals 2006, or a year equals 2007. And compute expression takes a moment to figure it out, and we get a new window. It tells us it's been done. So I'll close this box, and this title is the expression you just typed in. It's a little bit long and kind of lengthy to have to type each time, so by clicking there and hitting the backspace button, I can now put in a new title, and I'll call it El Nino. Easy enough. So now any year that has, or any year 2001, 2002, 2003, will have either the false or true next to it to indicate whether it was an El Nino year or not. And that will be very helpful for us later on. So that takes care of this information here. Done. And now we want to look at subsetting for Tornado Alley. And again, this would be a long calculation, but if we look at the stat project that I gave you, come up from those answers to follow and some information on how to do this, I can actually just copy and paste this into StatCrunch. So I've copied the expression string for Tornado Alley back in StatCrunch. I want to go back to this compute expression, paste the expression into the expression box, and compute. And again, StatCrunch gives us a very long box this time with what's happened. And I will delete that name and get something a little bit easier to use. Just call it Alley. Okay, so this is wonderful. Now I know what years, whether it's an El Nino year or not. I also know whether or not the tornado happened to Tornado Alley or somewhere else in the United States. I can look at some of the other subsettings. What if we're interested in tornadoes that cause at least one injury? Well, we're used to doing some of these statements in other places, but maybe I just want these particular ones, so I can subset things again. I can compute the expression injuries, make sure that's the correct title. Yep, injuries greater than 0. Ignore that box, that has nothing to do with this. Something else is running. So in the expression we have the injuries is greater than 0. Compute. And now I have another column of trues and falses for anywhere there was an injury, at least one injury. What if we're interested in the total number of casualties? So the sum of injuries and fatalities. Easy enough to do again. We want to go to Data, Compute Expression, and there's a bunch of ways to type this in. One of the easiest things, because we have a lot of information already done for us, is I want the injuries, and I want fatalities, and I want them added together, set the expression, and it just places it in the expression window for us. You can also type this in by hand. Either way is going to be fine. Compute. Let's add it this column to the table, and you can spot check a couple of them. 7, 5 here, and, well, there were 7 injuries, no fatalities. Here's a good one to check. This row we have 1 injury, 2 fatalities, and a total of 3. And we'll just call this casualties. So make it spell. So that's how we can do a lot of that subsetting. And then the last one is binning. With the chi-square test and some other things, a lot of the times we don't have enough information in each cell of the table to have a meaningful piece of information. So what we want to do is combine categories. And let's look at the F scales, and perhaps we're interested in something like this. We want F0, F1, F2, and F3 plus. So the F3 plus would be any F3, F4, or F5 tornado. And we can bin these into a category in StatCrunch. The way to do this, data, bin columns, pull that window down so we can actually see the whole thing. And we're given a window that looks like this, and I don't want the automatic bin, so I'll fix that in a moment. We start by binning what we're interested in, which is the F scale. That's a column I want to bin. I don't want automatic bins. I want to define where they are. And I'm also going to do this explicitly by defining my cut points. And my cut points can be entered in as whatever values I want, followed by a space. So I want 0, 1, 2, and 3 to be my cut points. And then lastly, the biggest decision is whether or not to include the left endpoint or the right endpoint. And for this work, we want this left endpoint included. And what's going to happen is that any F0 tornado would fall into the category of a 0 to 1 tornado, and it would be placed there. Any F1 tornado would then have to be included in the 1 to 2 bin. Any F2 would be in the 2 to 3 bin. Any F3, F4, F5 tornado would all be in the 3 or above bin. So from here, click calculate, and we see another column has been added to the table, and we have this tornado was an F0 tornado. This one was an F1, another F1. Here's an F2, an F2. F3s and F4s are considerably rare, so see if I want to find one of those. I want to select where the F scale is greater than 3, just to make it easy to find one. Only 36 rows. There's one. There's a couple down here. So let's look at this row entry first. You see how it says 3 or above? If we come over to the F scale, it is a level 3, an F3 tornado. And of course I've selected a bunch of and here's an F4, and that's in the same bin. So now if we want to do a contingency table or something like that, go with the data. If we had just done it as the F scale, I just want to pick some random thing. Let's go with year. Build the table. Well, there's all our F scales, and we can see that, especially with 5, there's a lot of empty cells, and we haven't talked a lot about it in class, but empty cells are a bad thing for chi-square tests. Remember, if you go through your notes, we said that we want a minimum 5 expected counts in each cell, and we're not going to get that here. There's no way to get those 5 expected counts for the F5, so we need to combine them. And even with the F4, there's one empty cell, there's a bunch of very low counts. So if I combine 3, 4, and 5 all into one category, that should help. So if I edit this, come back, and I want my F scales now to be the binned F scales. Now it's the 0, the 1, the 2, the 3 or above. and it's binned everything, I can get a much better estimate for my chi-square tests. So if you have any other questions on dealing with subsetting, please let me know, and check out the next videos for hints and help on the next couple of questions. Thanks.